Welcome, loyal listeners, to The Uncomfortable Truth. Today, we will be discussing the Oscar worthy Lovecraft Country. This is a new TV series that has just blown away all of my expectations. Pure gold.
Absolutely, I agree. And I mean, finally, after so long, we're seeing that representation that we're due. I mean, I was expecting whitewashing or a retelling of history to make it seem a bit nicer than it was, but nope, they really went all out in this one. I felt like I was back in the 1800s. Then I felt the oppression. It was stifling watching the show. And I mean, I can't even begin to imagine. It's definitely a retelling and added fiction to it. However, you can really feel the frustration, the hopelessness. You can feel the chains around them at every chance, every opportunity. It's definitely soul gripping.
I have to agree, they truly epitomized the ability to create verisimilitude in every aspect of the show. It I felt as if I was there. I felt as if these were truly taken from the pages of history, and they just crafted it expertly so that I just viscerally experienced what all of these people had to go through, and it was extremely painful yet exciting and heartwarming and educational, and then tying it in with science fiction and magic and adventure. It made it very exciting to participate in this telling of their story and their truth.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think of like a lot of these different moments, right? I've got to give it credit on a lot of things, but one of the biggest things was you may not think about it too much, but it's not just diversity, but it's also inclusion. I mean, you have many way of lives in there, you have many races, you have many sexualities in there. You've got your homosexuals, your transsexuals, you've got everything in there. Everyone gets a person there that they can look up to. Everyone gets someone there that they can. It brings you in. You can feel that suffering. You can really feel that no matter how bad you might think you have it, everyone there is suffering alongside you. And it's a weird way to put it that we're all united in that show. You feel so united and connected with everyone in the pain, in the oppression, in the way that you're fighting for that freedom of it. And it's just watching episode after episode, seeing them trying to escape those evil men. It was something to see.
Exactly. You know, they had a birthright taken from them, and in this particular instance, the birthright is their knowledge and ability to use magic. But that is just an analogy for what was taken from them in reality, which was their birthright to freedom and property ownership and agency over oneself. And they're fighting to get it back, and they do. They start piecing it together little by little, healing and achieving. It's true. It truly is an honorable story worthy of people watching it and understanding, because if you are part of the ancestry of the oppressors, you can see just why it was the wrong action to take for that group of people. And if you're part of the ancestry of the oppressed, you can see how important it is to never forget what happened and to piece together what was taken from you so that you can grow and evolve as you should have from the beginning.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm in full agreement with everything that you just said. I mean, if we really think about it too, it's the magic is one thing, but if you actually rewatch it and you dive a little deeper, you see even more things pop up. Like, I mean, do we have to say like spoiler alert or anything? But when he has to worry if his father is his actual father, and the only reason that's the case is because his father was gay and therefore was unable to even confess to that. So it's just layers of oppression that we've carried with us over and over through time. And I mean, on top of everything that you just said, which I agreed with entirely, I would also add that it's not just remembering where you came from, right? Or what happened and keeping that memory. It's it's the hope with keep pushing forward, right? It's even though it's hopeless, you do what you can. You struggle and you try to get it back. You don't let them take anything from you. Never compromise.
Yes, it's important to remember that. And they teach us many lessons within these episodes. Especially there was one where they finally got into the vault, and they saw the the corpse next to the documents that they were trying to obtain. And when they reached for the documents, the corpse magically began resurrecting itself, which that on its own is a metaphor for what the story is trying to instill in everybody who's watching it, which is to go ahead and resurrect yourself from the ashes of what was the past. And as this body is resurrecting itself, it starts to slowly coalesce into a beautiful young female form. And you're viewing this form from the top down. And as the camera is panning lower and lower, you see the face, you see the bare chest, and all of the heterosexual cisgendered male oppressors are watching this show, starting to get titillated by what they're seeing, thinking they're just getting a free view of a female's bare chest. But as the camera continues to pan lower, it's revealed that this woman is actually either a hermaphrodite or transsexual, and you do see a male phallus uh, in the crotch area, and it happens at a pace to prevent anybody from expecting it before it's too late. So they're watching this, and in their toxic masculinity, they feel safe and secure in wrongfully enjoying the nakedness of a female who's in a vulnerable position. But then they are taught a valuable lesson within a short amount of time. It's one of those instant karma situations, and they are exposed to the reality that not everything is as it seems. And even somebody who is hermaphroditic or transsexual is extremely beautiful and valuable to society, and they just had to accept it. They had no choice. They were already aroused by the time it got to that point, and they just had to deal with it. And it's good that they're exposed to these types of situations and ideas.
Oh, I agree. I think it was beautifully delivered because it does send a message to us and it does tell us a bit about our perception. Because once you're seen from the top going down and you're like, oh, absolutely gorgeous, breathtaking, even. And then you're seeing it, and then you see the full image. And as you said, you see the phallus and everything. And then at that point, do you still think beautiful or do you immediately switch to some other feeling? And then you really do need to analyze why you feel that way, because at the end of the day, it's still the same person that you thought was beautiful. So that person is still beautiful. Nothing has really changed. And it's at that point that you need to really dig deep and find your biases, because there's something there, and it's not that person's fault that you feel that way. And that's one of the things I love about this show so much. It really makes you confront yourselves and confront your beliefs in almost every episode in one way or another, whether it's the running with the police officer, and you realize the hoops that they have you jump through. And I mean, in current society, if you've ever run into a police officer, you'll realize that a lot of those hoops haven't changed. Every time you're told something by a police officer, you have to think twice. Matter of fact, I would recommend the only thing you say to one is, I'd like a lawyer, and nothing else. But it's just something else to tell you, to show you that when they're saying something to you, they sound friendly, not your friends. They're trying to trip you up with something. You have to be very mindful. And that's what I love about this show, is it really dives deep into a lot of issues that we're facing in today's society, and it does give us some introspection as well as guidance on how to navigate it.
And if you're listening to that thinking it's never felt that way when you were pulled over by an officer, you're just going to have to put yourself in the shoes of someone that doesn't have whiteness to protect them from those situations. So that's what we're facing here. You have to remember that if you don't feel that, if you feel safe in your neighborhood, if you feel safe around your law enforcement personnel, you have the protection of whiteness. And this story, it it constantly takes you on that roller coaster ride of emotions, from safety to danger, back to safety again, and you just have to follow along and hold on tight, because when you're watching the first episode, it's very gritty, very dark. They take you right into the midst of everything that was going on in that era. There is no magic, there is no mysticism or science fiction in that beginning portion of the episode, and you wonder if this is even the show that you signed up to watch. But as it progresses, then that those little pieces of release and relief that you feel, where when you're not granted total safety and protection. So as the characters deal with all of their real world issues, only then does the story allow you to have a slight reprieve when they discuss mysticism, science fictions, certain magical monsters, and then you're brought right back into the gritty reality of their situation. By the third episode, you think the entire story has already ended because they defeated the the white master. They crumbled the complex that he resided in, and they eliminated the magic. But then as the show progresses, you see that it just never ends for those who are oppressed. It's a constant battle. You have to stay vigilant. And then you're exposed to the fact that people from that complex had survived, and they are still after everybody who's oppressed for their own personal reasons, and they just continue to try to take advantage of them, and they're forced to protect themselves.
Absolutely. And I mean, just having this discussion with you brings back so many things, right? Because I do think that that first three episode, it goes to show you, it's they finally brought down one form of oppression, right? And the building or the complex is seen as destroying the source of their pain and their suffering. And then just when they think, oh, we're finally out of it comes again. And then it comes again. And as soon, it's just the never ending battle. And that's what that symbolizes, right? And it should go to show you, if you're not protected by that whiteness, then you can actually realize that, there's never a break. There there's never a lasting peace. Even when you have a moment to breathe, you have to be worrying about what comes next. Where's the next system? What else do we have to dismantle? What's going to trap me next? Is it going to be the police? Is it going to be the establishment that I am a part of? Where else? And that's the existence of a lot of groups in this country or in this world right now. And that's why I'm saying to send such a powerful message in, what is it, 10 episodes? What an amazing show. What an amazing writer.
Indeed. And this show breaks so many barriers. It passes the Bechtel test with flying colors. There's countless scenes where women are conversing just by themselves and not discussing men in any way, shape, and form. And all of these female characters are main characters. They have names, they have backstories, they have complex personalities. It's they just took everything into account when they were making this masterpiece.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think I think we've really told all we can about this, at least from my side. I know that this show itself, as much emotion as we put into it, probably won't do it any justice or do enough justice. I cannot recommend this enough.
Yes, absolutely. I'm here rooting for a season two, a season 22, a season 202. We just cannot get enough of this. And to all of our listeners, remember, by confronting the uncomfortable truths, we can all ascend together.